Hi everyone, my name is TARDISgirl and welcome to my channel. So, yeah, I'm not dead, I'm not disappeared, I haven't dropped off the face of the earth. I've simply been taking a break from YouTube. I think we all know what happened in the world around the same time that I stopped uploading videos. So yeah, long story short, the coronavirus cases in London were escalating at an alarming rate. Everything was shutting down, my uni had just gone online, my campus was closed, and it looked like the borders back into Australia were going to be shut pretty soon. So we all made the executive decision that I should fly home pretty quickly, and I did, and went into 2 weeks of quarantine, and have spent the last 3 months desperately trying to get a job and not go insane. I've succeeded at one of them. Let's see if you can guess which one it was. I am back home at my parents' house, and in the interest of giving you something interesting to look at, I am sitting on the floor next to my bookshelf and my DVD collection. But in the meantime, with everything shutting down or being delayed, there really hasn't been much for me to react to. At least we have this. At least we have ComicCon at home and the teaser for season 2. And basically this and June 2020, if it ever gets released, are the only things that I am looking forward to this year. So without any further ado, my first look at the Comic-Con trailer for His Dark Materials Season 2. I am very much looking forward to this because, as you know, I have kind of self-styled myself as the His Dark Materials YouTuber now. So in the interest that we will have nothing to compare this to, as this is the first time that anyone has ever taken a crack at the subtle knife, I'm very excited. Let's take a look. Magisterium Mojitagats. Ooh!
You're not from here, are you?
Oh, wow. Okay, we know what that is.
From this world?
That's the city in the sky!
Neither am I.
There are multiple worlds out there, and people will be looking for her.
Jump, Harry!
Not all of them good.
Okay, she looks amazing.
I found her.
These troubled times call for the Magisterium to take control.
Here we know. Oh, the witches! Will we see the spectres?
Could cut between worlds.
I want to go back. Is that the knife?
Lyra, how do you know about me?
Mary Malone.
You have something important to do.
Okay.
The time has come to act.
Where are the spectres?
I believe we have no choice.
I think you're Ruta's guarding, I'm pretty sure.
People are afraid of things they don't understand.
Okay.
These are strange, new times.
Oh, that looks interesting. That looked incredibly interesting. Okay, time for version 2, where I go and look more in depth. Oh, and before I go on, spoilers ahead, just in case.
You're not from here, are you? From this world?
No.
Neither am I.
Okay, the first opening scenes, there isn't really much imagery that we can discern, but the two things that really stuck out to me is, number one, I am certain that that's the Torre delle Angeli that they're looking at there, mainly because of the angelic figures on the side of the building, and it is the most imposing structure in Cittàgazze. And secondly, that city by the sea. I was of the opinion that this was the Clouded Mountain when we looked at the original opening titles, but seeing as Cittàgazze is by the sea and is described as a sort of early Renaissance Italian town, I think that's the city in the sky. That's been Cittàgazze the whole time. And of course, we have Will and Lyra meeting for the first time. Now, the fact that I predicted the ending of episode 8, that they would have the two of them crossing over at the exact same time, that really made me happy that we'd gotten all of Will's character backstory in the first series, and now the second series can be all about developing their beautiful, tragic relationship.
There are multiple worlds out there, and people will be looking for her. Not all of them good.
I found her.
We have a couple of more establishing shots of what Cittàgazze is going to look like. And mainly the one that interested me is we see the beam from the two worlds opening on the top of the mountain. So that's obviously where Lyra would have entered and stayed for a couple of days wandering around in the fog before she actually discovered the town. Also, we have our first glimpse of Andrew Scott as explorer John Parry. He's one of those actors, like, I've never seen Fleabag, so I'm always going to see him as Moriarty. So I'll be interested to see him playing a sympathetic, likeable character this time around. It's going to be interesting. And finally, we have the scene between Lyra and Sir Charles Lactram. Quick story, when I was 15, I went on a school trip with my literature class and we ended up in Oxford and we were walking around this museum and I suddenly realised that this is the museum from the book, and I'd brought the 3 books with me as something to read while I was there, and I was looking for the Case of Skulls and I finally found it, and I felt so much like Lyra exploring that museum, and it was an incredible experience. And I think that scene is one of the most threatening in the books, considering the overtones of stranger danger. So knowing that this is Lord Boreal and that he does not have any good intentions towards Lyra, this is going to make the whole sequence a lot more predatory and a lot more, frightening.
These troubled times call for the Magisterium to take control.
Best word, keep her safe. This knife could cut between worlds.
The scenes with the Magisterium are quite vague, as the Magisterium doesn't really show up in the second book. It's mainly in the first and third one, but I can only assume that they're conducting some sort of, what passes for a referendum. Whether or not they're deciding to seize power in any more capacity or send more forces out after Lyra, I'm not sure. We have Lee Scoresby on his search for John Parry, and we have a tiny glimpse of the subtle knife of Ethehetra. It's tiny. You don't actually see what the knife looks like. I've gone back and I've paused that scene, and the fact the knife is so small as well, it's not like a massive stabby dagger, it's just a tiny little pocket knife. I can't wait to see the original design. I can't wait.
Lyra, how do you know about me?
You have something important to do.
The time has come to act. I believe we have no choice.
Also, we have our first glimpse at Dr. Mary Malone, a scientist working in Oxford who specialises in exploring shadows and dark matter, which is an element of science that I will not be able to explain off the top of my head, so I think you'd better go read the books for this one. But she does turn out to be a very important, pivotal character, even though it doesn't seem like it in the first few chapters. And so I can't wait to see what they do with her. And most importantly, if they fulfill her season 3 arc, because I demand Mulefa. I didn't mention it before because it was more apparent in this scene, but we have our first look at some of the other major witch clans, and the 2 characters that play a pivotal role in the season 2 will be Ruta Skadi, who I believe is the witch talking to Serafina Pekkala in that scene, as she's another witch queen and she is described as very imposing and very ostentatious. And the other witch is Utica-Mainen, who is quite a minor character who plays an incredibly important part in the long run, so I really hope they introduce her character up front as well.
People are afraid of things they don't understand.
These are strange, new times.
The rest of it is quite a lot of small, concise clips, and I don't particularly want to go through each one frame by frame because there is a lot to digest and I would basically be exploring the entire plot of the second novel. Obviously, we don't know how much of the production has been completed at this point. The teaser does look like most of the season has been completed. They do seem to be carrying on a similar tone to the first series, like similar to Our World, but not overtly different in the way that the book was, where everything was steampunk Victoriana, where here it's a sort of 1950s mecha overlay. It's great to see all our familiar characters back. No sign of Lord Asriel. I mean, the fact that he wasn't in the ComicCon stay-at-home broadcast is kind of telling enough, but I was really hoping that we'd get some extra expanded scenes with James McAvoy in season 2, but it looks like that's not going to happen. I can live with that. He plays such a pivotal role in book 3 anyway that I can forgive his absence here, but still, it is kind of a bit painful. I'm also feeling intense dread at this point because now that we actually have an ending of the first season and we know that we're progressing with the second season, this is where the story gets progressively darker, progressively more adult, And also, spoilers again, this is also the point where quite a lot of my favourite characters die. So I already know that watching season 2 is going to be just as much, if not more painful than watching season 1. But I will take it, I will bear it as best I can, and I will hopefully have the time of my life. So there's my first rundown of the His Dark Materials season 2. If they release more trailers and more promotional material, I will hopefully be able to review them. Please remember to subscribe to my channel down below, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, please wear a mask, and to everyone out there, bonne chance and see you soon. Bye.